Hello and welcome to another episode of the Galactic Geeks. I'm your fellow Galactic Geek, EJ, and with me, as always, is Alexis. Say hello to the people,
What's up,
Alexis.
everybody?
And
How?
how? And today we're going to talk about an array of topics, such as I always say array. I don't know. Maybe I just like rays. Do I like people named Ray? I have no clue. But we're going to talk about a couple of entertainment news as usual, and of course, Game of Thrones because
Woo!
crazy. Crazy.
That finale and was. We have to talk about it because we have to pass this year somehow.
Yes, of
We have
course.
to pass the time.
We have to gnawed our teeth until wondering when. When is it 2019? But
I believe so. Yeah.
we also got our comic picks of the week uh, and a couple of other little stuff here about Capcom releasing a 30th anniversary edition SNES cartridge that we'll get more into. But to start off, going into our news topics, I don't know if how many people are aware, but apparently DC is creating a Teen Titans show, a live action one. I heard it was going to be on TNT, but
Oh
that's
yeah,
not
I've
the
been
case
seeing about
anymore.
that. They've already got Stardust, right? They already got
S-
their
Okay,
Stardust.
there are pitchforks outside your house right now because it's Starfire. Starfire. You just did that.
Oh,
You
Starfire.
did
Oh,
that.
I'm thinking Star Wars Rogue One Stardust.
That's hilarious. Uh,
Never mind. Starfire, I stand corrected. Starfire, yeah, but they started casting the actors, right?
Yeah, first they got the person to do Starfire. It got people were like on Twitter, of course, and like, oh, it's weird because like I don't know because she's black, and I'm like, no, what? That's a stupid reason. She's a freaking alien. What does it matter? She's an orange skinned alien. What the hell does it matter if she's black? I don't understand your logic. But the other news is that they cast their Nightwing, Brenton
Ooh,
Thwaites. Uh,
okay, cool. What has he done?
I'll tell you that right now.
Like TV series or
Yeah, it's a
what
live
are, what are
action.
they
Oh
doing?
yeah, okay. So it's the kid from the Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. The guy who looks just
Okay.
like Orlando Bloom, but is not Orlando Bloom. Like, did you see it? I did not.
I think I saw a little bit of it. Yeah, I think I did see it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He plays a young or Orlando, well, yeah, with his character, Turner,
Yeah, I didn't see the
Will
movie.
Turner.
Is he the son? I don't know. I like
I don't know, because when I was watching, I really didn't really pay attention to that actor, so
the show will premiere in 2018 and apparently in a DC Comics branded digital platform. So I don't know if that means like their own Netflix or I mean it.
mhm.
That's what it sounds like to me. Uh, they
Ooh, that sounds like that, yeah. So they're gonna be producing this Nightwing show for this yet unnamed
well,
to be released DC streaming service.
yeah. I mean,
Kind of like what Disney's doing now and creating their own Netflix type deal.
yeah, of course. I mean, they have enough for it, but it's not a Nightwing series. It's a Titan series. So it's going to be an ensemble cast. Like I mentioned
Oh,
earlier,
sweet.
yeah, they've already casted Starfire for it with which her name is Anna Diop, and they've also cast a Raven, a super young Raven, from what I understand, Tegan Croft. I don't know. We gotta wait till everybody's cast and see what it's going to look like to get any real
Yeah.
idea past this point. But that's pretty much the news from the DC
Cool.
side of things. Uh, next up,
Nice, nice.
next up, we got here from Star Wars gave us a little tease. Of course, when they tease, it's very tiny. Just like those little creatures they teased a while back,
The porgs.
the porgs. We got teased of an evil BB-8 Empire, well, First Order BB-8, BB-9.
Yes. He looks so awesome. He's like basically the evil counterpart to BB-8, and he has that same ball shape,
Yeah,
but his dome on
it's
top is
flat.
not round like BB-8's. It's like it's when the article said that they were basically trying to copy R2D2 from the original Star Wars, that design, the top part design.
Uh,
So he looks awesome with a red eye, black, kind of almost like graded circles. Really cool design. I'm happy to see this. I mean, it looks like the whole Lucasfilm, they're just going for evil robots now. with the 000, which is the counterpart to C-3PO. BTX, I forget exactly his full name, but he's basically the evil counterpart to R2-D2. So it's cool that they're continuing that little trend.
Oh, of course, everybody loves evil versions of the real things. And Star Wars
And like
University,
evil versions of Chewbacca also, which
yeah.
I'll get into in a little bit.
Oh, okay. I know what he's talking about, people. The one thing I want to talk about is this evil BB-8. I was just called by its name, BB-9E.
BB-9E, yeah.
E is evil. Is because you saw. I'm assuming you know they released like a picture of what the new online of what the new Star Destroyer looks like. That
Oh
big ass
yes, the
flat one,
Dreadnought.
and that
Oh, that thing's awesome.
I've heard people talk about how it's flat, and like maybe there's going to be a scene happening on top of it. And now I'm seeing this new BB-9, and it's got a flat head also. But you said
Oh, okay.
so I'm wondering if like is the new First Order aesthetic sleeker, eviler. Uh, it fits in
More
your pocket.
flatter.
Yeah, it's got a 9
well, the whole
million
thing with
foot
the First
screen.
Order is that since they don't have as many sources and resources as the Empire did, they're basically like quality over quantity. So this
That
Dreadnought
makes
is
sense.
basically at least like 3 times the size of a regular Imperial Star Destroyer. So
You saw
they're
the gun
basically
on that
packing more
though,
power.
right? You saw the big ass gun it had on the bottom, right? The
Oh yeah, it has like 2 giant cannons and then 24 anti-turret cannons or anti-air cannons, and then it can deploy squadrons full of TIE fighters. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be a cool space battle when we see that in the Last Jedi.
Yeah, can't wait. Obviously, that's going to be it should be a very entertaining movie of the holiday season. I mean, what other movie do you bother going see in Christmas time?
Um,
Nothing. When was the last time you saw a
Nothing
Christmas
else. I
movie
mean, the
before
only
Star
other
Wars?
movie that is close to that would be Thor Ragnarok.
That's true.
That's
That's
the movie I'm
November.
planning to see, and that's November.
There's sometimes a good movie in Thanksgiving weekend. Sometimes. Um,
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I don't think, but I don't think Thor is gonna be around Thanksgiving. I think it's gonna be like a couple weeks before. I
Most
think it's gonna be
likely.
like the first 2 weeks of the month
I
of
haven't
November.
I haven't looked at the exact release date. I just get hyped whenever I see the trailer, and I'm just like, yes. Which I am not. I'll tell you right now, Thor is my least favorite in the when it comes to the MCU movies and in comics
Yeah.
most of the time. Yeah, because I'm not a fan of the fantasy shit. You know,
Oh, okay.
the verily and the dragons and lords and goats. That's why it took me so long to get into Game of Thrones. Which, if you could appreciate the segue, we can go into Game of
Game of
Thrones.
Thrones.
Which
Oh my God, the finale was amazing.
I gotta say,
So much to talk about.
it was tensely enthralling throughout most of it. I'll tell you right now, a red flag went off in my head when they were like, "Oh, what's in the box?" When the Hound was pushing that box, and it's
Oh
like,
yeah,
"You touch it, you're fucking dead."
yeah.
I'm like, "He's gonna touch it."
It
I thought he was gonna
yeah,
fucking
it
touch
was,
it.
and that's what I feel like this episode did very well, is that it made you to believe, like it brought you right to the line of making you believe this is gonna happen, and then it just the next shot is just like something totally different.
Yeah.
We saw it with the whole, like as you mentioned, the box kind of zooming on the box where the White Walker was,
Uh-huh.
and you think, oh no, the guard, let him out, like he's not in there.
I know.
And then the Hound kicks it over, and then it's just like a White Walker just running towards the screen.
Yeah.
Uh,
Towards Cersei.
and then you see it again with Sansa passing judgment, and you think that she's gonna pass judgment on Arya,
Uh,
but it's actually then Littlefinger. So this episode was very good with that bringing you right to like a conclusion, and then just completely spinning it around.
if we're gonna jump through it like this, and then you got the other moment with Sam and Bran. He's like they're filling each other's blanks on the story
Yeah,
of this Tigerian
of
line,
John. Yeah,
and
yeah, and like connecting the dots for the audience, it was like really cool to see that. Like it was very, full circle. Like it was very satisfying.
I, well, I guess that's the word I would use. It's just like as Brand's finishing his sentence, we pan into Jon Snow and Daenerys, just and it's just like to me, it felt like a sitcom moment for a second. It's like, hopefully he doesn't do anything stupid.
Yeah. It's like I have to tell John this information before he does something. Oh, oh, and there
It's too
he's
late. He
gone
put
and
his
done it.
dick in it. I was too late. I was not expecting that full nude scene. I'll tell you that right there. I was
Oh yeah,
I
the
thought they were gonna.
memes were definitely rolling that the next day.
I was expecting it to just be the door knock, and then he walks in, and then it's left up to our imagination, obviously.
Right, right. Yeah,
But
I
no,
thought that's how it was gonna go, but then when he actually stepped in, I'm like, oh, I guess they're doing this.
I'll tell you right now, the other surprising moment, what almost was a surprising moment, was I thought the mountain. I thought she was gonna straight up. I thought Cersei, when she was having her argument with Jaime after they made the decision of, like, in public to send troops to the north, and then she just turns around and tells him in private, like, "Oh no, fuck that. No, we gotta protect
Yeah, yeah,
this.
yeah.
We
Oh,
gotta protect
you,
my
how
crazy
silly
baby.
you.
We
You
got
actually thought I was gonna go by my word.
we gotta protect my crazy baby." Uh, and that was uncomfortable. And then as he's walking away, and the mountain's about to pull out his sword, and she gave the nod, and I was like, "Oh my God, she's gonna do it. She's gonna fucking do
Yeah,
it."
she's actually gonna do it. But
But
it was
no,
basically, I guess, a nod to let him go.
yeah,
Because I thought as soon as he went close to the mountain, I thought he was just gonna strike him down. But he actually walked out the room, and I was like, oh, she let him live, apparently.
um,
Which it was very interesting that that situation happened with both brothers, like in each of the Lannister brothers. Like it was very interesting to see
they keep getting cast.
the
They cast
difference.
themselves out.
What was that?
That they cast themselves out. They seem to.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly, exactly. Like facing Cersei, like obviously it's a dangerous. It's dangerous to kind of cross her in that way.
Mhm.
Uh, but it was the same situation, and for both of them, they were both her brother, uh, and they both like wronged her in some way, you know.
Yeah,
And I'm surprised. I mean, the Tyrion confrontation was really cool because then, like, as soon as like the Hound as soon as the Hound doesn't do it, he goes over and he grabs like a wine drink. He just starts drinking like, oh my god, I almost just died. Whereas with Jamie, it was like he kind of left a little bit more badass. Like he just like stormed out.
yeah. Uh, the
So
another moment that I want to bring up was when they're all like sitting down waiting, and then, like, Daenerys isn't there, and then she just shows up on her motherfucking dragon,
yeah,
and
the
it's
entrance of the century.
I know I was just like, all right, that's just now you're just rubbing it
Yeah,
in a way, but she was right, she's just showing all her power.
yeah.
If she was showing us all her strength, then why wasn't there where was the other dragon? Something must have happened to it. I'm like, that's a lot of assuming, but okay. Uh,
Yeah. No, but then
this
someone
woman
else
isn't
like didn't
stable.
someone else like mention oh maybe he's guarding her castle or something.
Yeah, yeah, I think
Maybe.
Jamie said that it might be back at Castle D Rock, or
Yeah.
somewhere else that they're lording
Yeah.
over. And
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
So let's talk about the meeting a little bit more because you had so many characters, so many main characters in the same like literally sitting across from each other, and with the whole
yeah, like
with
th
Tyrion coming out first, like it basically like it felt right, obviously because he was like the connecting link, and
yeah,
he starts
between the
talking, and
two
then
parts.
Euron just like straight up interrupts him like, I don't gotta listen to this shit, like
He's a
and
dork.
that whole little dynamic with that whole little moment with Theon and Tyrion, it was just like
Yeah,
funny to me where he's like, "Hey, remember I told you what I told you about dwarf jokes back at Winterfell?" And
yeah.
he's like, yeah, and his wasn't even that good.
Uh,
Like it was kind of cool to start off those
the
talks.
icebreaker. At the other point in the meeting, Well, obviously, once the White Walker was shown, isn't it called a Wraith? Is it
Yeah.
called a Wraith, right? Because the White Walkers are the king, are the blue guys, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, yeah, and that part I'm still kind of fuzzy on because sometimes they say the others, they
Oh,
say like the walkers like the Night King would be like an other, like he's not like just a regular,
oh, okay.
turned White Walker. Like he's the one. I believe he's like kind of like what they showed with the episode beforehand with the with what is it? The episode 6 and the lake city. Excuse me, the ice lake battle
Yeah,
where
yeah,
you knock down the lieutenant or the I guess the wraith, and
yeah.
then
And
the
then the
rest of
other
them
one's
kind
killed.
of fall down.
They Phantom Menaced, yeah, and you know that's true. All right, he Phantom Menaced them.
You mean episode Star Wars Phantom Menace?
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Episode 1, the Phantom Menace.
Oh yes, where they knock out the droid ship,
Yes,
yeah, and
that's
then
it.
the rest of them. Yeah, that
They,
is true.
you,
I didn't even
you,
think about that.
well, you don't know how many times that shit has been done. Since that movie pretty much started. I want to say
Oh
started.
yeah, yeah. I guess you're right. I don't remember of other movies before that kind of did that.
I'm on the spot, so
Huh.
I can't name them out right now. The once the White Walker, Wraith, whatever, once the zombie popped out, and then they chopped it up. It was, and you see the Queen's hand going up and grabbing the arm, and I'm just like, great, don't give this guy a sample. That was the first. That was the first thought in my head. He's like, he's gonna build like a zombie bomb. Like, don't let him take any of this shit.
Yeah, yeah, like Qyburn, the Queen's hand. He's like so fascinated. He's like, ooh, it's still
Ooh,
moving. Like he's like fascinated by this
like
White Walker hand.
it was completely like, how can I make this work?
So yeah, and then of course John explaining like how to kill White Walkers. You can burn it, or you can kill it with dragon glass. That was pretty cool. One moment that actually I wanted to bring up too is cool is the whole the Hound like stepping up to the mountain
Yeah,
and like basically telling him, "I'm gonna kill you eventually," and you know that, and you always have known that. Like people are calling it the Clegane Bowl
yeah, I
when
heard.
the brothers
I have seen
face
those
off
memes.
episode or season 8, hopefully.
And that was before he brought the box and just let with the zombie
Yeah, freaking like back
by himself.
squatting like the entire White Walker box.
I saw that and I'm
Uh,
like, God damn, that box I know is probably empty in real life, but geez, he
yeah,
convinced me that that shit was heavy.
that's heavy. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
and it was just like badass. That it was like the Hound, like wrangling this White Walker. Like it just seemed right that it would be him doing that. Like no one else, him. Like just and pulling it back before it reaches Cersei, and then like chopping it in half and everything.
and then
So.
yeah, and then he pretty much he kills it in front of them, tells them how you kill it by fire, by dragon glass, and then an
Mm.
amazing thing happened. Cersei agreed that that they should go stop and kill these things, and I was like fucking amazed for a moment
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I was like, nah, I was convinced that she would just still be arrogant about it. But no, but obviously the tables turned because Jon Snow fucked it
Yeah,
up, saying that he won't
yeah,
kneel because he already promised himself to another queen, and he's not going to promise to two queens. And
yeah.
it was like, I get it, I get it, I get it. You're this world's Captain America, but Jesus,
Yeah, it's because like Cersei was basically saying, "Oh, I want to hear from Ned Stark's son." Like she was like invoking his name,
yeah,
like basically like saying, hey,
the King of the
your
North.
daddy wouldn't have lied, so don't you lie, like
Yeah, and
type
that's
deal.
how. And then
And I liked that what John said is true. It's like, if we keep lying, then what good is our word? And which of course ends up being the case with Cersei, and she ends up lying herself. So, but I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that she was gonna, you know, see reality and
yeah,
join up
and it's not helped
with the rest of
later.
them.
Tyrion gives Jon shit. It's like, you could just lie. and that's when he talks
Yes,
about
yes.
how. And that's when he
Yeah.
gives that speech that you were just mentioning about the North. When the words stop meaning, nothing else matters. You know. Uh,
But I liked when the White Walker came out. Like everyone, like even Euron, like even though he may or may have not been playing a part, like he was still like,
oh,
whoa,
I
this is
believe
like
it.
serious. Like,
I believe he was playing a part. I was just surprised on how elaborate that was. Then, if that was
yeah,
if it's completely true, which I want to believe it's true, but then again, since you just
yeah,
said she did just lie, but that'd be a very random thing to lie about, unless she's just
yeah.
planning to ditch and run and take all the gold. Uh,
Well, she's been planning this. You know, she knew she was gonna go into this, uh, as an underdog. You know, she just lost the battles, Casterly Rock and all that. So it basically like she had to go in with some type of deception. You know, with that was pretty much her only card to play. You know, like
yeah.
you're just gonna have to bluff your way across this one right now. You have no army. You know, you're losing allies left and right. So I'm surprised. I thought before watching the season finale that she was gonna try to like assassinate Daenerys. You know, like maybe try to
I
take out
was
one of the
expecting
dragons
it.
or
I
overwhelm
was
the dragon
expecting it. I
somehow.
thought we were gonna zoom in onto one of these perches, and there's gonna be someone in secret loading one of those fucking scorpions, and
Yeah.
she was just gonna go all out, and I thought it was gonna be a bloodbath this episode. But so after the meeting, Tyrion says he's gonna go talk to his sister. Everyone thinks he's gonna die. Obviously, we know he's not because he's uh,
Yeah, and with him like walking down like those long shots of him walking down the road, like just like this is maybe the last time we see him, you know?
yeah, that because we got that far away walking shot, and you're just like, that's not good. Uh,
Yeah.
and he has the talk with Cersei. Cersei, blaming him for their father's death, and
Yeah.
and the other kid's
And
death.
the kid's dead too.
Yeah, even though she knows now the truth about at least one of them, but he did straight up kill their dad. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's all a talk to convince Cersei. And the concerning thing is that we don't see the end of that conversation because it obviously did not end there.
Yeah.
So either
That's
something
true.
something was promised, something was demanded, something was traded. We just don't know
Yeah.
yet, obviously,
Well,
because
we
there's
we
no
do
way she's
know
gonna
because
change
when
her
he comes
mind.
back, he basically he doesn't when he comes back to the dragon pit, doesn't he tell them what she wanted to do?
I forget what it was, but at the moment, I wouldn't trust it anyway, because if it's probably that and more, obviously.
Yeah, right. So
Um,
then, of course, like she comes back, and then she basically says, "I will help you guys defeat the dead in the north, but I
yeah,
will, once this is over with, like know that I'm not asking for
anything
any
back
like
right now.
pledges or any
Yeah.
allegiances." And I was like, "All right, red flag. She's lying. That's not Cersei. She doesn't work like that."
Well, she's pretty much like she's like mom guilting you. She's like, I made these cookies, but it's fine. You don't have to share any of them with me. Watch what
uh,
happens the next time you want cookies. Uh,
yeah.
that's the simple analogy I'll give for that moment. And then
Hmm.
we pretty much like we jump back and forth, but we pretty much go to the north with what seems like Sansa debating over uh, what to do with Arya, because she's afraid that Arya is gonna kill her. And then
Yeah.
we get led into this fake
Littlefinger.
this we get led in with Littlefinger. It looks like a tribunal, and of course the big moment that everyone's memeing. That's right, I'll say it too, memeing. Uh, is you stand accused of murder, treason. How do you respond to these charges, Lord
Lord
Baelish?
Baelish. And it's
And
just like, what? Like,
right,
what? I'm sorry, I'm a bit confused. What are you confused about? Treason?
right.
Murder?
Yeah, that's what she said,
So
right?
that
Word
was a
for word,
great
right?
moment.
And now Littlefinger is now the new meme of that white guy blinking when he's like, befuddled. You know which one I'm talking about? The close-up white guy
Oh
grinning.
yeah,
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 he is now the new
yeah.
that, and it's perfect.
Oh, that's funny. I gotta find me one of those.
I wasn't expecting that scene to happen that way because it felt a little tropey to me. It felt a little
Hmm.
Clue murder mystery, you know.
Yeah,
But it was satisfying, I guess, because of the douchey ass guy who just got killed. Uh,
yeah. No, I enjoyed it because it was finally, Sansa and Arya putting aside their differences or what may have been a farce
yeah,
and
that's the
finally
thing. I
got rid
think it
of the
was all
true
a
threat.
trick. It was all a trick for that they were putting on a show because they're freaking sisters.
Yeah.
They're gonna fight, but
Well,
they're not gonna.
but the thing is though, like my whole theory is that they were on opposite ends at the end of season of episode 6. And then sometime after that conversation that Sansa had with Littlefinger, the whole, think about what their goals is and think backwards. I think after that, she met with Bran because the actor who I think his name was Isaac Hempstead or something like that. The actor who does uh, portray Bran, he said that they filmed a scene where Sansa approaches Bran
I heard about
and
this. Yeah.
asks him, what is this and like what do you think about this and all that. So that wasn't shown in the final in the what aired, but after that, then she must have been like, okay, Littlefinger really is the real threat. Like almost like that whole him suggesting that Arya would actually kill Sansa was kind of like the last straw.
Yeah, it was a
I
red
think
flag.
that's when she was like, okay, I think something's up with like I think I have to like get to the bottom of this
Yeah,
now.
and then they confront him with the charges and straight up just says exactly what everything that she's witnessed him do.
Yeah, right,
The
right, and I'm glad that she even mentioned like, oh that the dagger,
You killed my aunt.
actually, yeah, and you killed the aunt. Like it's basically showing not only like what he did like just this last past couple seasons, but what he's always been doing.
I had
And
forgotten that he has killed her aunt, and I'm just like, how come you haven't? You should have been dealt with him earlier then, shouldn't you have?
yeah,
Like that was
because
your
well,
family
because
member.
they didn't know they didn't know that. I mean, because it was only him, Littlefinger, and Lisa Aaron in the
Yeah.
room, so nobody knew exactly what
Oh, but now
happened.
you got the three-eyed raven that everyone's gonna take at face value. Uh,
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, and I
how
mean
is
now
this?
that you have the human Google, you can fact check everything.
Like you just
So
got the Avengers just knocked you down. The Winterfell
yeah,
Avengers.
the Stark Avengers, the Stark
Exactly.
Avengers.
That's the plot twist of this series, people. These are Stark's ancestors in a parallel reality. Um,
So yeah, so the Stark clan kind of coming together was a very
it was very satisfying.
very satisfying for me.
It's like, thank God
Yeah, and
this
then
dad was competent. It's like,
yeah, there was a lot of and then also after that when Sansa and Arya were standing on top of the wall in the castle, and like they basically said like, I passed the judgment, and then you were the executioner. Like another callback to Ned Stark when he first episode said to Bran, "He who passes judgment must swing the sword." So it's kind of cool how they're like together fulfilling Ned Stark's like word and like his way of ruling.
and I think that was it for the Winterfell scenes. Pretty much after she was killed, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's
After
it.
she
Yeah,
gets
that's pretty
killed.
much it. And then of course we go to what happens at the end, which the Night King attacks with freaking Viserion, the evil ice dragon now.
Yeah, okay. I hear that there's debate. Like, is it ice? Is it just fire? Is it like just hot blue fire?
That's one thing I'm still not sure. I mean, it's obviously blue because to be the opposite to the
Because
red
color
of the
palettes have to
dragons.
match. Uh,
It took down it like drilled into that wall
that's what I
like
was gonna say.
nothing.
It
Like
didn't. Whatever it did not melt. That was force. That was straight
yeah,
force that just went through that wall. It was pretty much just like a sword slicing through because
Oh yeah.
it didn't seem like anything was like really melting around it as so much as it was just being busted
Yeah,
through.
yeah. Well, but the thing is though, if you put a hot torch to like a glacier or something like that, like it's gonna break apart. Like it's not gonna, it's not gonna like melt off like right away. Like it's not gonna just melt off like dripping. Like it's gonna like come down in chunks.
I suppose so
Um,
too. Yeah. It's just like you just see it like break through the thickness of the wall.
yeah.
It didn't
It
take
was,
like
you know what I was thinking? Straight up, I was thinking like hyper beam.
no, the real memes are the Yu-Gi-Oh ones with the blue eyes. It's the memes for that are real. There's one where they just have like Yu-Gi-Oh's face cut off and it's Jon Snow's face and he's playing the blue eyes white dragon.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you see obviously from Tormund's point of view, like he knew right away. All right, we gotta evacuate.
That whole wall came down.
Uh,
I didn't see a section that said, you know what, we made it. You know, like we know they're alive because we did not see them die on screen, unless they're gonna
right,
keep
right.
us waiting for two
Yeah.
months just to have another character look for their
No,
dead
no.
body.
Game of Thrones doesn't work like that.
And here's my other question: where is Robert Baratheon's son? We did not see him on the ice wall in that scene.
Yeah, he probably.
Last we saw him, he did the run
I
to
don't know.
he did the
I don't
Amazing
think
Man
he's at
run.
Eastwatch. I think he may have been like evacuated back to Winterfell.
Hopefully,
Um,
yeah, because
yeah,
they
because
need a, they
again,
want
like you
him
said, we would have
to.
seen it.
They would
Him
they
probably like in the bed of like medical bay of like the Eastwatch,
isn't he going to be their
and we would have
blacksmith?
seen it like crumbling down.
I guess he's their blacksmith, right, for Winterfell to make weapons out of the dragon glass.
He is a blacksmith I trade, but when he agreed to like go on the journey,
Yeah,
he pretty much went like as a warrior. But
he's
I
still a
don't know.
useful blacksmith.
I don't know. I kind of see him like chilling back at Winterfell, like like recovering from like hypothermia, whatever the hell he went through. Um, but yeah. Yeah.
All right, and that was Game of Thrones. The I believe it was called The Dragon and the Wolf.
Yeah, the dragon and the wolf.
The
Yep.
Dragon and the Wolf. You know what happens when the Dragon and the Wolf get together? They fuck.
Incest, but chicka wow wow.
Just put that mental image of a dragon getting fucked by a wolf. You're like, is the dragon the same size as the wolf? And then you're asking questions that you never ask out loud. Um,
And then you start wondering why you're thinking about bestiality.
there you go. And then you get put on a watch list on FBI, and things happen. Things goes downward after that. And that's how we segue into our comics portion with bestiality and incense. All right, for all you listeners out there. And for comics, I wanted to keep it light because it was great. I would talk about Secret Empire, but I'm just going to save it for next week because it ended with Secret Empire 10, and I want to talk about them back to back because it was amazing. Uh,
Oh, okay.
but for now, the first one I want to talk about is Generations, the Mighty Thor and the Unworthy Thor, written by the awesome
Ah.
Jason Aaron, art by Mahmoud Assar. Sorry if I butchered your name. I've been talking about these for the past few episodes now. The Generation series, where the present version of a hero gets dropped into the past of whatever hero they're taking the mantle of, and this one's Thor. Yeah, as you may or may not know, the current Thor is Jane Foster. That's right. For those of you who don't read comics, that's Natalie Portman's character in the Thor movies. Uh, she is Thor.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah. Well, then here's how it makes it more interesting. She's in late stage cancer. So she
What's
and
that? What?
yes,
Late stage cancer, and
yes,
she becomes the new Thor?
exactly. That's why it's both.
Tell me more.
It's inspiring and tragic. This happened a while back. She became Thor a while back. It was a big deal because everyone was like, "Oh, there's a woman Thor. Oh, who is it? Who is it?" And it was revealed that it was Jane Foster. And then we're also told Jane Foster has cancer, and she's in chemo, but it's not going to go into remission. It's going to take her life. Um, in the meantime, when she's Thor, she picks up the hammer. None of that's a problem because she becomes endowed with Asgardian strength, magic, power. She's a female
So she
Thor.
can basically switch her cancer on or off.
Yeah, it seems to be that when she's holding the hammer, yeah, she's fine. But the problem is the clock on her human life is still ticking. So each moment that she's out being Thor and not going to like chemo and trying to go through therapy, it's pretty much if she wasn't doing that in the real life, you know.
Hmm.
So it's still it's
All
still
right.
it's still progressing. And now that I think a question has arose too, if she lets go of the hammer and she died in her human form, will she die as Thor? Does she just become Thor, or because she only stays as Thor for as long as she's holding the hammer, or it's in her near vicinity? Uh,
Hmm.
so but those are questions that we aren't answered yet. But for this one, in this story, she is plucked from the present and thrown into a random adventure in Thor's past life when he wasn't able to lift the hammer yet, and he was super young. Uh, Odin's telling him, "Quit trying to lift that shit. You can only get like half an inch off the pedestal." And
Hmm.
it's a frustrated young Thor wanting to prove himself. Uh, Odin's like getting tired of him. He's telling him to stop going to Earth. You're gonna start acting like those Midgard people, humans, obviously. And while Odin's throwing a party, a gathering, he's forced to wear his formal wear, which he hates apparently. And his formal wear is just his like '60s costume, of course. And
Nice.
and while he's at the party, he's the waiters tell him that he can't drink because his dad said no, please don't kill me. And I thought that was funny. He's like, I can't drink, I can't wear what I want to wear, I can't lift a hammer. Screw this shit. He hears someone praying for him back on Earth. He's like, I'm gonna go check what this is. So I shit you not, he takes a giant axe and he rides a magical flying goat uh, to a bunch of Vikings that have apparently decided to invade Egypt.
Whoa.
I
Plot
can't
twist.
I can't make this shit up. Um, And then while they're there, Thor asks them while he rides in on his magical big-headed flying goat, like, "Why have you prayed for me here? What seems to be the problem?" And like the Vikings pretty much point at the mutant apocalypse because if you remember, he was an ancient Egyptian like lord pharaoh and the world's
Oh
first
yes,
mutant.
that's right. Yeah.
So they throw down, and then that's when the female mighty Thor gets dropped in at that very moment, and he just looks at her, and in the middle of the fight, just looks at her. He's like, "What are you doing with that hammer? Are you a witch? Did my did my dad sent you to torment me?" And she pretty much figures out kind of right away what's going on. It's like, all right, I'm in the past. He doesn't have his hammer. I gotta be careful what the hell I say. Uh, he's like, I'm not a witch and I'm Thor. Uh, and it's one of those situations. It's like, let's talk about it later. The apocalypse is in front of us, so it's pretty much just a back and forth fight with Vikings, Egyptians, and apocalypse throwing mutant power rays at everybody. Um, I
That sounds awesome.
it was fantastical to say the least. It was very 60s esque in the storytelling. In the art, it was a mixture of modern. Um, but by the end of it, and again, I can't make this up. They beat up Apocalypse. They didn't kill him, obviously, but they beat up Apocalypse and they take their spoils. And part of their spoils was the nose of the Sphinx.
Oh,
So
nice.
that was a nice touch up, and she pretty much leaves him with a lesson about like not uh how he never gives up and not to give up, and
Hmm.
she just thinks to himself he's just gonna get drunk and forget this. Uh, and then she pretty much disappears, and that's the end of that part of the story. And then we get like a really quick two-pager that takes it seems to take place in the present, and it's Odin talking to the Phoenix, like the Phoenix Force, and it looks like a pretty hot lady. And then he talks about like I had you, I held the storm in my fist, and then you flash to a picture of him like when he was young, holding the hammer, and he's just making out with the Phoenix, and I'm just like, Thor's dad fucked the Phoenix Force. That's
Nice.
crazy. And then literally,
That's definitely a notch on the belt.
that's l- that's literally, and then literally the Phoenix just goes like, don't you basically don't booty call me again, or I will just destroy you. And not in those
Oh,
exact words, but that's pretty much it. And then that's how it ends. It's pretty much a teaser for the Marvel Legacy stories that we're gonna get soon, the 10 million BC, because they're both in that team. So that's probably
oh, okay.
a little tease of that. Um, but moving on our comics list, we got a Star Wars title, Star Wars Doctor. How do you actually, how do you say Aphra?
Aphra.
Doctor
Yeah,
Aphra,
Dr.
Annual number
Aphra.
one.
Yeah, she's basically one of Vader's kind of side characters, Star Wars run, the one with Star Wars Darth Vader, and she gets introduced basically as like someone who like basically immediately after A New Hope when Vader's TIE fighter goes flying off after the Death Star explosion. She's the one that actually is sent to pick him up and like transform transport him to like the nearest Star Destroyer. So then that's how they meet. And yeah, she basically now has her own series, Dr.
Yeah.
Aphra. People, the fans have really liked her, and
Taking a liking to her.
she's got her own series now.
Written by Kieran Gillen and art by Mark Lammy. And obviously, you took a crack at this, and you'll give us a taste.
Yeah, so basically the story is centers around Dr. Aphra, and how like you basically kind of interact with her through two journalists uh, that they work for something called the Undervine. What basically the Undervine is that it's like the HoloNet. Like those familiar with like Star Wars lore, the HoloNet is basically like what the Imperials use to like broadcast messages and propaganda. So the Undervine is basically the opposite of that, and it's like basically like a wild west of information, where you can put stories out there and share information pretty much with anyone. And so these two journalists, they basically fly and meet Aphra because they are trying to interview her basically Wookiee protector. He's basically like an evil Chewbacca. He's all black and he's kind of got like a scar across his eye. And his name is Black Santan. For Star Wars with the crazy names. But yeah, he
Are there
basically is
are there
a black
apostrophes?
Wookiee.
Are there apostrophes in his name?
No, actually, but there are two R's, so it's Santan.
There you go.
So
So either double
yeah,
letters or apostrophes. But continue.
yeah, it always has to be like that, Star Wars style. And so basically they hear about Black Santan through just people that they've met and then interviewed with them. They found out about this Wookiee. And so basically, through Dr. Aphra, they get introduced to Black Santan, and most of the comic is him basically retelling like his story, which is basically he was found by some Trandoshans on Kashyyyk, which is basically a Chewbacca story. But he basically baited some of the Trandoshans into a trap. And he kills 4 of the Trandoshan hunters. And then one of them is actually working for these people called the Zonti brothers. And the Zonti brothers actually, they basically kind of send Black Chrysanthemum on these missions. So he basically works for these Zonti brothers. And what he basically does is actually gives himself up willingly to slavery, because I guess he was just bored and he wanted to test himself. So he basically willingly goes to slavery, and when he's when he's in slavery, he basically has to fight other slaves to try to be the best one, so that they don't kill him or that they sell him off to the highest bidder. So he basically has these trials by combat and speed and running away and things like that. So then basically, meanwhile, Dr. Aphra boarded the two journalists' ship to basically gain access to this Undervine. So that's what Dr. Aphra's after, access to that, and then she's using Black Chrysanthemum as like basically a decoy to tell them all these stories so that they get happy and can transmit some of these stories back. Really cool art. I like how it basically merges more of the prequel trilogy with the original trilogy. They mentioned the Death Star a couple times, and they have they go to Kashyyyk, which is of course in the prequels. Overall, good read. It had good kind of humor, especially with like a Wookiee in the comic. They're always scared like it's gonna just go crazy and kill everybody. And then you see 000 and BT-1, which are Vader's killer replicas of C-3PO and R2-D2.
Yes, I've seen those.
Yeah, very very cool art. The costumes for each of the journalists are really cool. They always kind of seem like bounty hunter-esque. Kind of like Rogue One style, that style of like art, but it's really cool. It actually had one of the slaves was actually I don't know if you remember in the Force Awakens, one of the big guys that was sitting in a chair in the cantina, and then he had like one of the like beautiful aliens kind of like touch his chin, and basically like he was like the big boss with the two horns on his chin.
Yeah.
Well, they basically had that. They basically had one of his species in the slave tournament that Black Chrysanthemum was in.
Oh.
And so then at the end, they basically Aphra gains access to the journalist, I guess, router, so to speak, and then that's how it pretty much ends with them going back onto the next story. No big deaths or anything, but it was a good story, and it had good humor, and you almost could hear like John Williams' soundtrack in the back. Very good read.
Well, if it does that, that should be a good sign right there.
Yeah. It's good. It's good how these Marvel's Star Wars titles they're very good. I mean, the team behind them is really good. They're paying a lot of attention to detail, and like I said, they're bridging a lot of the prequel elements with the original trilogy elements, which as a prequel guy, I'm happy with. But yeah, Dr. Aphra #1. It's definitely recommended if you like Star Wars.
It's all moot once there's something in the movies that doesn't go kosher with something that happened in the comics. But they keep telling us that they're on top of it, that everything is connected, everything here matters. So.
Oh yeah, Lucasfilm has ever since the whole Disney merger, they've done a very good job of connecting
the dots.
Yeah, like not only the movies, but a lot of the comics and then the novels, which I'm a particular fan of. They're doing awesome work with connecting everything and connecting the lore and making it one big story.
All right, that's awesome. Well, the last on my pick list here is a DC title, believe it or not. I am not a DC hater. I just don't talk about them that often because everybody talks about Batman. And this is technically no different because I'm about to talk about Nightwing, the New Order #1, written by Kyle Higgins and art by Trevor McCartney. So this is a alternate reality story in a world where Dick Grayson, already Nightwing, at some point in history had apparently rid the world of almost of 90, or I forget if it was 90 or 99% of superpowers in the world. And we're told this through flashbacks that just seem to intersect every now and then. It starts at the beginning. We see Superman saying, "Dick, why?" And Dick Grayson's just like, because I needed to, because I needed to save the world. And we flash forward to the future. It seems to be a future where Dick Grayson's like in control. He's got an authoritarian uh, rule over the superpowered community. Most superpowered people they seem to be, all superpowered people seem to be forcibly medicated to not being able to use their power, but it keeps them kind of like brain dead. It it's a very like bleak future. There seems to be no Batman, but Alfred's alive. Dick Grayson has a son, and it's told with the narration monologue of him talking about how his dad used to be a cool hero. He doesn't know about the difference between who he was as a young man and now, and what was it to be a hero. Uh, and we do get a visit from Alfred, old Alfred, when he shows up.
Ancient
And
Alfred probably by
ancient
now.
Alfred, and they pretty much have a discussion where they talk about how he doesn't like this, how this isn't the world that we should live in. So pretty much the build up for this story is towards the end when he gets a phone call from the school about his son, and the night before they had a talk about if what he's doing is right or wrong. And when we get to the big ending, and he walks into the room, and it looks like his son has superpowers. It looks like something maybe heat vision related. And we're not told throughout the book if who's the mom, at least not yet. So obviously the mom's probably the superpowered one. So it was a bleak future telling story, but the art was it was very sharp. It was it was DC 80s esque, reminding art. Um, I highly recommend it. It yeah, I'm gonna keep going with it to see where it goes, as long as this keeps up this rate. But that was it.
Okay.
That was our comics for the week. Next week we'll talk more about the Secret Empire, how that ended, and go woo. But ending the show, there was just a little tidbits I wanted to talk about real quick. Capcom and Iam8bit online store make a 30th anniversary edition workable SNES cartridge, and
Oh,
it's
sweet.
yeah, it comes with like portal like artwork and cool stuff like that. But the main selling point is boom, it's $100. It's going to be limited to 5,500 copies, right?
Oh, wow. Super limited.
Yeah, but here's the cool part. They come in two colors. The majority of them, though, will be that opaque red that's pretty much like reminiscent of Ken's color.
Yes, yes.
But you could be one of the lucky people who I believe get, I don't know, I forget if they made 1,000 or 100 of a special version that you can get randomly. You can't ask for it. A Blanca glow-in-the-dark green cartridge.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
So is it just this one cartridge that has like tons of different games?
no. It's
Or is,
just it's like a reproduction of the original Street Fighter 2.
oh,
Yeah,
oh, nice. For the SNES.
for your Super Nintendo, and it's real working. Yeah.
Oh, ooh, yeah. Well, Street Fighter fans get on that. How can people
Get that?
um
Oh,
sign
Capcom's working
find out?
for it's on sale right now. That's the website's called store.iam8bit.com. They just went on sale yesterday, so I have not checked as of now if it's sold
All
out.
right.
I
Well,
wonder.
as of August 31st, you guys should be able to still
Yeah, no, they
grab
still
that
got
while
it.
you can.
They still got it. I'm just looking at it right now. You can buy one right now. Do it. Oh my God. Um,
Nice.
but that should be crazy. I would totally die if I got the Blanca glow in the dark one. Even
Oh
though I don't
yeah.
have an
No, I mean
SNES right now.
that's gonna be no, and then it'll be worth so much
I
um
believe it would be. Yeah.
from like years from now.
One last thing, something that just happened real quick. PAX West is going on right now. If you don't know, PAX West is you probably do know about this lovely gaming
Yeah.
convention called PAX West. Um, they just announced a slew of Switch exclusive games, and one of them is Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. Just got announced with a lovely debut trailer. The graphics look top notch. It's really quick. It's just pretty much showing you what the Switch can do, at least with graphic cutscenes. It didn't look like gameplay just of yet, but
Mm.
did you ever play No More Heroes?
No, I didn't get to play that myself. No.
Are you aware of it though? I'm assuming like it was pretty cool. It's really quick. It's just a game about it was a Wii exclusive, and so was the sequel. But then I think they released it later for the PS3 or something. But by that time, nobody really, you know, was paying attention that much. Uh, but it's a first Nintendo exclusive, and it's a really cool game where you play as a guy called Travis Touchdown, and he wants to become the world's best assassin, but he's got to kill the top 10 assassins to get to the top, and he has like a lightsaber like sword. And I say it's like a lightsaber because it's got a metal tip. Uh,
Hmm.
like it's a sword, but then it becomes a lightsaber kind of around it. Uh,
Ah,
yeah,
okay. Kind of like a glow around it, like it's super powered.
yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it. And it's a hack and slash wacky ass game from Suda51. For people who know, he is a crazy developer who makes crazy games that are very strange and self-referential. Uh,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah.
that and much more, I'm sure we're gonna get from PAX West.
Yeah, that was just the one that just occurred now, and I was just like, oh, now another reason to
Yeah.
get a Switch. Good job, Nintendo. Give me like two, three more reasons. Because right now, for me, it's Zelda. Because I still haven't played Breath of the
Oh
Wild.
yeah, Breath of the Wild. That's oh man, that's definitely up there. I definitely want to play that.
Breath of the Wild, the Mario Odyssey game. All right,
Mhm.
I want to get,
Oh, which is like the next Mario game.
yeah, and I want to get the Sonic Mania game, the 8-bit retro one for the Nintendo instead for the
Oh yeah,
PS4.
I've been hearing some buzz about that. Yeah, I hear it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's supposed to be great. I can't wait for that. And then I guess this game, because this is going to be a Switch exclusive, this No More Heroes title. And I just
Yeah.
need two more. I just need two more Nintendo, and I will drop the 300. But you gotta keep it going. Yeah, you can't just stop. You can't just give me some games on release. I want my Smash port. All right,
Oh yes, for sure.
all right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, of course, of course.
Smash is it's necessary.
Oh man, it's as necessary as breathing. All right, I'm not being greedy. I don't expect a new one. I'm happy with a port. Uh, and I'm just not that into Splatoon or Mario Kart. I'm sorry. I know it's evil. Like, yeah, Mario Kart's fun when you play with people. And it's like, you know what? Fine, but not all the time. But I'll never get tired of Smash. Tell you that right now.
Yeah.
But hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. This has been your Galactic Geek podcast with me, EJ. You can follow me at HiAsh0716, or you can follow my friend here, Alexis, at Lex287.
Yep, you got it. Yeah, Lex287. You guys can tweet me. Talk about anything geeky.
You can also follow us at our official podcast at Galactic G Cast. Also, we got a Gmail if you guys want to ask us any questions. That would be galacticgeekspodcast at gmail.com. You could shoot us a question, just say what's up or what have you. Uh, you
Yeah, and then
know,
we'll answer it on the show, on the
yeah,
next show.
yeah. Well, till next time, Hail Hydra.
And may the force be with you. Oh, Enrique says hola.
I did not say hola. You fucking
You
liar.
did say hola in English,
Oh,
which is
what?
hi, but I like
Greetings.
putting the Spanish twist on it.
Whatever. Don't gender fight my greetings. All right, none of that. I
Damn.
said fucking
Defend
hello like an
yourself.
American. All right.